All right, let's get right into this really chilling story. It all happens in a small village called Poompur, where this local legend about a haunted mansion, well, it turns out to be shockingly real and incredibly tragic. This is a story about what happens when greed smashes head-on into a dark, forgotten past.
So this whole story kicks off with just fear. Pure, raw fear. And you can feel it in what this one villager says. He gets caught in this crazy hailstorm, right? And he makes a choice. He would rather get pummeled by hailstones than step foot inside the one place that could keep him safe, the old mansion, the Haveli. I mean, that tells you everything you need to know about how terrified people are of this place.
Okay, so let's picture this. Poompur is, for the most part, a beautiful, peaceful village. Kind of perfect, you know? But every perfect place has a dark spot, right? And in Poompur, that dark spot is a huge, creepy old mansion, a Haveli, that just looms over everything. It's ancient, it's spooky, and apparently there's this mysterious old woman living there who some of the locals swear isn't even human. So this quiet village life gets completely shaken up when four people from the city show up. We've got Rajiv and his wife Ria and his two brothers, Raman and Prem. They roll into town, all smiles, with this huge elaborate lie. They claim they're there to sell their old family home, which just so happens to be the one mansion that scares the living daylights out of everyone.
And this is where things get really interesting, because you've got these two totally different ways of seeing the world crashing into each other. You have the villagers, who look at this mansion and see a cursed, terrifying place, something from their deepest fears and stories. And then you have these city folks, who look at the exact same building and see, well, they see a gold mine. To them, ghosts are just silly stories, and that mansion is a giant pile of cash just waiting for them.
So they just laugh off all the warnings from the villagers, calling it a bunch of superstition. The four of them just march right up to the mansion, super confident. But the second they open that door and step inside, whoosh, they're hit with this blast of freezing cold air. And yeah, the main hall is impressive, but it's dead silent, and they get this really creepy feeling, like they're not alone, like they're being watched.
And that's when they see her. Huddled in a dark corner, it's the mysterious old woman. Her name is Guru. And when she starts talking about a treasure she hid in the mansion years ago, everything changes in an instant. Suddenly, their whole plan to just sell the place, totally out the window. Now their greed is laser-focused on one thing, finding that hidden fortune.
Yup, that first plan is completely gone. Now it's all about the treasure. They are completely consumed by visions of gold and jewels, and they start tearing the place apart. I mean, they are frantically searching everywhere, ripping things up, desperate to find this treasure Gari mentioned.
So after hours and hours of searching, they've got nothing. They're starting to think this was all a waste of time. But then, one of them spots a pile of rubble in a back room. Looks like part of the roof caved in. On a whim, they start clearing away the debris, and what do they find underneath? Something that is definitely not supposed to be there. It's a heavy stone slab, and when they move it, they find a hidden staircase leading down into pitch blackness. You can just imagine them creeping down into this musty, spiderweb-covered cellar. They're using their phone flashlights to see, and then the light hits it. A massive, old iron chest, and it's locked. This is it. They're absolutely sure of it. They think they're just seconds away from being rich. Word gets out, and it spreads like wildfire through the village. Some of the villagers, who are probably curious and maybe a little greedy themselves, are promised a cut. So they help haul this enormous heavy chest up from the cellar and out into the light. You can just feel the excitement in the air, right? Everyone's crowding around, watching as they get ready to force it open. But the treasure inside isn't gold. It's not jewels. As they finally pry that heavy lid open, this huge gasp just goes through the crowd. Because inside is the tiny skeleton of a child. In that 1 second, all the greed, all the excitement, it just evaporates. All that's left is pure, sickening horror. While everyone is just stunned, reeling back in shock, Gauri, the old woman, slowly shuffles forward. Seeing that chest open seems to have unlocked something deep inside her, like a floodgate of memories. And that's when she starts to speak, and finally tells everyone the real, heartbreaking story of the mansion.
And the story she tells is just unbelievably tragic. See, Gauri used to be a happy young wife living right there in that mansion. But when she gave birth to a baby girl, not the son they demanded, her husband and father-in-law were furious. They were so desperate for a boy that her husband listened to some mystic and did the unthinkable. He sacrificed his own newborn daughter in some kind of dark ritual. When Gauri found out, she just broke. In a blind rage, she murdered him and the others who helped, and then she locked her baby's remains in that chest, her mind completely shattered by it all.
So there it is, the heartbreaking truth. The treasure Gowrie was talking about, it was never gold or jewels. It was her little girl. To her, in her fractured mind, that chest was the only way she knew how to guard the most priceless thing she ever had, the remains of the daughter who was so cruelly taken from her.
But the scammers? They don't feel a shred of sympathy. All they feel is disgust and rage that there's no money for them. And in just a moment of pure, unbelievable cruelty, Rajiv actually kicks the chest, sending it tumbling over. And that final, awful act of disrespect, it's what sends Gauri completely over the edge.
All the shouting, the chaos Gauri screams, it draws even more people from the village, and this whole situation is just about to explode. That's when the police show up, walking right into the middle of total and complete pandemonium.
Rajiv, of course, immediately tries to blame Gauri, saying she's just some crazy violent woman. But the police officer is sharp. He can tell something isn't right here. And he asks one simple, brilliant question. You say this is your mansion. So, where are the documents? And just like that, with that one question, their entire lie just falls apart.
Once the lie is exposed, the four of them just crumble. They confess to the whole scam and are arrested. Gauri, who people are finally seeing with compassion, is gently taken to a mental health facility to get the help she so desperately needs. And the villagers? Now they know the real story behind all their fear. They come together and give that little baby girl the proper funeral she never had. It's really the first step in healing this wound that's been festering in their community for so long.
So the big question is, what happens to the Haveli? This building that holds so much pain and fear. I mean, they could have just torn it down, right? Tried to forget it ever existed. But they don't. Instead, they decide to do something pretty amazing. They decide to take it back. And what they do is just incredible. They take this place of absolute horror and they turn it into a place of hope. They transform the entire mansion into a school for girls, and they name it the Gauri Kahaniya Vidyalaya, the Gauri Girls' School. It's this beautiful tribute not just to the baby girl who was lost, but to her mother, Gauri, whose life was ruined by the exact kind of backwards thinking that this school is now built to fight against.
And that really leaves us with something powerful to think about, doesn't it? The story of this mansion shows us that sometimes a ghost story isn't about ghosts at all. It's a way of remembering a real, human tragedy that's been buried and ignored. It proves that the only way for a community to actually heal isn't to run away from its dark past. It's to face it, to honor the people who were hurt, and to build something better right on top of that very foundation of pain.